pretty comfortable that she's not in this triangle between the RV park, your truck, this road, and then the next road.
What they do is move us in the wrong direction.
What seems to have happened from the investigators, and they don't give much, and I've got private people working for me, is maybe she was abducted right here.
Hard to believe.
And they found an article going west of hers. They won't tell us what it is.
Hard to believe.
They sent another team after they found the article that covered this hillside all the way down to the river pretty good. My concerns were this way and that way. If it was the cats, they dragged their prey up the mountain and out of people's.
Hard to believe.
We can't find sign for the cat, but we got rain like right away. Washed away sign.
So they found her bike just right against that tree down there?
Well, no, it was on the ground. The wheel
this
was
is
facing
an absolute disaster.
Hard to believe.
All righty, everybody. Welcome to the Draper Brothers Friday Night Live. I am Tyson, and this is my amazing and hilarious brother, Dusty.
Whatever.
Who put that funny video together. Thank you for doing that, Dusty.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it was kind of humorous going around today and seeing, Bernie. I had a slip up when we were talking backstage and accidentally called him Barry Sanders. But Bernie Sanders, he's showing up everywhere, so why not Barry's video, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's funny.
Yeah, so we want to thank you all so much for joining us and spending part of your evening with us. If you haven't had a chance to do so yet, please take a second right now to hit that subscribe button. Because like we often say, it helps us in so many ways. And a lot of times people don't understand how subscriptions help us, but it continues to help us bring you guys high quality content on these cases that we're following. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, we encourage you to do so. One thing that we've noticed, Dusty, is we're having a little trouble with the YouTube algorithm. You know, a lot of people are saying they're not getting our notices, for lives and things like that. So we're trying to think of creative ways that we can get that out to people. We even had people today, when I put that little video out at Waylon Jennings' grave, I had people messaging me saying, hey, nothing popped up. We didn't even know you were live. So we're trying to get some of that stuff ironed out. But in the meantime, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we would greatly appreciate that. So how you doing tonight, Dusty?
I'm good, man. Just excited to talk about all this stuff. We've been doing a lot of research, and I know you've been making reenactment videos and stuff like that. You've been spending a lot of time doing boots on the ground stuff, so that's awesome. I love when you do that stuff because I like to see what you come up with.
Yeah, I try to be a little creative and give our viewers a bird's eye view or a firsthand experience with some of these places that we're talking about. So we got some of that for you guys tonight. I think you're going to really enjoy it. We have some other stuff. As you guys noticed from our thumbnail, we are going to talk a lot about Zulema and Alex Cox tonight. But right out of the gates, I wanted to talk about something else real quick, Dusty. And for those of you that haven't watched Dusty's 321 report that came out on Wednesday night, I would encourage you to go watch that. It was fantastic, and it leads us right into where I want to pick up tonight with Alex Cox and what happened between him and Joseph Ryan in Austin, Texas. As many of you know, the Phoenix Police Department reopened that case with Joseph Ryan. They wanted to take a second look at it after a video surfaced of Lori saying that she would murder Joseph Ryan instead of letting him see Tylee again. And so once that video came to light, the Phoenix Police Department opened it back up. They wanted to get a second look at it. They wanted to get some fresh eyes on it. And I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, sometime this week, they released a statement saying that the case is now closed and that he died of natural causes, quote unquote. So what are your thoughts on that, Dusty?
Yeah, I was saying a lot about how he was cremated, and I don't know how they would have done any more tests, but a few people were saying interesting things in the comments about sometimes they'll keep a piece of the body, like a thigh or something, so they could do tests later on. And some people said that they did that. I thought that was just really, really interesting because I'd never heard that before. So yeah, I was sitting there wondering how the heck are they going to do this, and then I got educated, and which I love when people tell me something I don't know, and I can learn from it. So thank you all for whoever. There was a few people, I can't remember who they were, but
yeah.
No,
that makes sense. I mean, with all these murders and things that happen in today's day and age, it makes sense that they would do that just in case, kind of as a security measure.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about this later in the program about Tammy Daybell too, and them exhuming her body and looking, also taking a second look at that too. So if they did keep a thigh or a part of Joseph Ryan's body, you would think that the Phoenix Police Department would have looked at it this time around. So that's kind of telling me that they probably didn't have that, but who knows, man? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So, but that's a good point. So, Dusty, what I want to do is, in addition to the Phoenix Police Department releasing their investigation into Joseph Ryan, they released everything. They released a 58-page police report from 2007 in Austin, Texas. This is when Alex Cox approached Joseph Ryan, and I actually typed this up. I want to give everybody a recap, and I don't like to read it, but I want to read what I typed up here because it gives you a nice recap of what happened without you guys having to go and read the 58 pages. So, Dusty, I'm gonna just take a little time to read this real quick. It says, I had the opportunity today to look at all 58 pages of the Austin, Texas police report from 2007, which detailed the unfortunate encounter which Mr. Joseph Ryan had with this coward. I want to warn everybody right up front that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything tonight when it comes to Alex Cox. In my opinion, he is absolute scum for so many reasons. But after reading this report, quite frankly, I was furious. If you haven't had a chance to see it, this is the gist of it. So basically, this is what happened, Dusty. Here's a brief overview. Back in 2007, Joseph Ryan was experiencing what unfortunately many fathers experience in this country, namely parental alienation. And our laws regarding how easy it is for one parent to alienate another parent have got to be changed, but that's a topic for another day. Joseph Ryan had not seen his precious daughter Tylee in about a year, in a little over a year. And here's what I was able to gather. Lori, being the sick liar that she is, she made up a story about Joseph Ryan doing something awful to her nephew and was pretending like that was the reason she didn't want Tylee around her father. But in reality, in light of all this other sick stuff which has unfolded over the past year, we can assume that that too was one of the many lies that Lori told. Anyway, Joseph, being the good father that he was, hired an attorney and attempted to work his way back into his alienated daughter's life, namely Tylee. And he did just that, and he had his first supervised visit, and this was, of course, 2007 in Austin, Texas. The day had finally arrived for Joseph to see his daughter Tylee. And as a father myself, I can only imagine how excited he was about his visit with Tylee. As he was leaving to go to the kids' exchange there in Austin, Texas, he noticed a loud pop as the garage door was opening in the upward direction. He stated that he had never heard that noise before, and he thought it was odd and it put him on higher alert. But he kept on. He wanted to see his daughter, and as he exited the garage and began to drive down the street, he noticed a silver car parked just a few houses down with its lights on. And as he passed by the car, he noticed that the driver was wearing a dark baseball cap, and he tried to pull it down real low to appear like he was disguising himself, trying to hide from view as he went by. Now, Joseph was on even higher alert. So he stopped and he asked his neighbor, Craig, to watch his house while he was gone, because he was going to see his daughter for the first time in a year and he didn't want to miss the appointment. So he pressed on, feeling comfortable that the house was in good hands with Craig watching. As he drove off, he noticed the silver car. It too began to drive off in the opposite direction. Joseph arrived at the kids' exchange and, according to the report, had a lovely visit with his precious daughter, Tylee. At the conclusion of the visit, he was checking out and he noticed a woman was signing out right before him, and she left with her son and headed for the parking lot. Joseph signed out shortly thereafter, followed the lady out the door, who happened to be parked right next to him. As Joseph was putting something in the trunk, he was approached by a man wearing all black. Does that sound familiar, Dusty?
Yeah. That sounds like what Tammy Daybell said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Joseph Ryan was approached by a guy wearing all black. He wasn't wearing a ski mask, but he was wearing dark sunglasses. Anyway, as this man approached Joseph, Joseph didn't recognize him and asked the man what he wanted. The man told him, quote, "We need to talk. Do you remember who I am? It's Alex." Joseph immediately recognized him in that moment and told him he did not want to talk. Alex insisted that he needed to talk, that they needed to talk. And at this point, Joseph was starting to panic, and he asked the woman next to him if she could be a witness that this man was Alex Cox, his ex-wife's brother, and that he was threatening him. The woman agreed to be a witness and heard everything Alex was saying and vice versa. As the woman buckled her son in the back seat, she watched as Alex reached into his pocket and pulled out a taser. Joseph was terrified and turned to run away, thinking it was a handgun. And as he did so, Alex tased him, and he fell to the ground, injuring himself. But running on pure adrenaline, he got up and began to run away, calling out for the woman to call 911, which is what she did as she now sat in her locked vehicle. In addition, a supervisor at the kids' exchange walked out and saw the commotion and also called 911. As the supervisor was yelling for Alex to stop, he immediately turned around and nonchalantly began walking down the street, momentarily turning around several times to flip the bird, quote unquote, according to this police report, before getting in a silver Pontiac Grand Prix and speeding away. Police arrived and took witness statements. Alex was eventually arrested and charged with felony aggravated assault and served 90 days in jail, just like you talked about last night on your 321 report, Dusty, so eloquently. This is what's interesting right here, bro. Tylee later told her father, in the presence of his lawyer, that she had witnessed the entire thing, confirming the fact that Lori was somewhere in the parking lot watching the entire thing unfold, and allowing Tylee, her young daughter, to witness such violence against her own father. What a complete piece of garbage. Joseph Ryan went on to tell detectives that he, quote unquote, was having trouble with the entire Cox family and that they were some very awful people. And I quoted that. What are your thoughts on that, Dusty, so far? I got more here, but I want to hear your thoughts on that so far.
Well, there's a lot more stuff that I've heard about what was going on about during that custody battle, and went on for 12 years. It didn't stop until Joseph Ryan was dead. But it was obvious to the people that the social workers that would meet with them, it was obvious to them that Lori was coaching Tylee, because she would say something and say, "Okay, I told him, Mom," like she told her to. It's like Tylee was like saying, "I'm tired of this. I told him, now leave me alone about it." You know, so she was making all kinds of stuff up about what was going on. I know I heard Colby talking about it on Dateline about Joseph abused him, but who knows? I mean, I'm not going to dismiss anything that happened with that. I don't know, but with his mother, there's a chance at least that she could have put that in his head and it never happened. But I'm not going to say that because I don't know. But I'm just saying, there was some coaching going on. There was some really low down, dirty stuff going on, and you and I both know there's a lot that goes on in divorce cases and stuff like that. A lot of things get thrown around, and it really seems like Joseph Ryan got the raw end of this deal for sure. So
absolutely. I hadn't heard that I hadn't seen that Dateline with Colby Ryan. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, but the coaching was going on for a long time. And that coaching coming from your mom can be a form of brainwashing too. I'm not saying I'm not saying it is one way or the other, but that's a possibility. Now, one thing I want to interject here is when you go back and watch that video of Lori laughing the day that Charles Vallow was shot, when she's standing out there in the street, what was Tylee's demeanor that day? Do you remember? Did you focus in on Tylee?
Well, they had her blocked out. They blurred her out, so you couldn't really see her emotional. But she was telling a story about, she was Charles was getting mad, and she put the bat out, and he took it away from her. But, who knows how much of that her mom, I do know, she came back with her. She left with him, with JJ and Tylee in Charles's car. So they made sure Charles couldn't leave.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, that was, obvious that they were trying to, and succeeded in, ambushing him. So.
Yes, that's a very good point.
But
brother.
I don't know what Tylee's demeanor was, man, because they blurred her out. But.
Well, they blurred her out, but I could still tell, and I noticed this right off the bat, that there was some serious friction going on between Tylee and Lori, to the point where it looked like Tylee hated Lori. Like she didn't, and she was getting to the age, she was getting old enough to where Tylee didn't want to put up with this anymore. She didn't want to put up with her mom's lies. I mean, her stepdad, who she loved and cared about, Charles Vallow, was laying in there on the floor dead. It was awful.
Yeah.
And Lori's probably driving around the neighborhood telling Tylee what to say. Okay, when we get back over there, this is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. And you could tell by her body language that she's tired of it. She didn't want to do it anymore. And she was probably starting to rebel against it. And that was one of the reasons why Lori was saying she's a dark spirit. She needs to be eliminated. She's not listening to me anymore and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I wanted to throw that in there, bro. What was your thought?
Well, I was reading recently about the way Lori acted after Charles died. She sent a text message to his sons and said, "Your dad passed away."
Yeah.
And then she wouldn't answer any questions after that.
Yeah, they asked how. They said, "How did he die?" And she wouldn't answer.
You know how they found out?
How?
His ex-wife had to go and search the medical examiner's website or something and find out what happened, because she wouldn't tell him.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Wrong with her.
Well, we're setting the table here, guys. We're going to talk about Zulema tonight, but this is all kind of leading up to it. I want to continue on with what I typed up here real quick, Dusty. So,
all right.
I'm going to minimize this. Fast forwarding a little bit. The love between father and daughter knows no bounds. As you and I both know, Dusty, we both have daughters. Joseph couldn't live without that little girl in his life and decided it was time to quit his job and move to Arizona to be closer to Tylee. Now, I'm sure this took a tremendous amount of courage, considering the fact that Alex, Lori, and the entire Cox clan was living there. But nevertheless, he pushed forward and rented a house out here and got settled in. Lori had told many people, including counselors, that she would she would murder Joseph Ryan before he ever got to see Tylee again. Like we mentioned earlier, that's why they reopened the case. And on April 3rd, 2018, like you mentioned in the 321 report last night, police were performing a welfare check on Joseph Ryan at his Baseline Road apartment and found him deceased. Police ruled that he had died of natural causes, citing a heart attack, but recently opened it up to take a second look after learning a video surfaced of Lori stating that she was going to murder him. Again, having very little to go on, Phoenix police closed the case last Thursday, I believe, citing natural causes. So, Dusty, let me get this straight. Tammy Daybell, a totally healthy woman in her 40s, dies natural causes.
And she was training for a 5K too.
Yeah, and her dad, Mr. Douglas, who lives in Springville, Utah, he had talked to her, in the days leading up to all of this. He said she was perfectly healthy. Everything was fine. Joseph Ryan, totally healthy man in his 50s, dies natural causes. Alex Cox appears healthy enough to drive to Mexico and back for a day trip. The next day, dead, natural causes. What are your thoughts on that, Dusty?
I mean, you know what the odds are that many people associated with one person who is Lori Vallow, or in some way associated. I know she wasn't associated with Tammy directly, but I mean, almost. She married her husband, right after she was having an affair with him. So that's just astronomical odds that all those people would die of natural causes. And you're forgetting one of them, forgetting Stacy Cox too.
Stacy Cox. Yeah.
I mean, I know she had some problems with diabetes and stuff like that, but I mean, Alex was there with her when she died. So, I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. And just like you mentioned on your report last night, Alex was there. Who was there? Who's around all these people that are dying all the time? Alex. And not only that, but you found proof that he was actually using her credit cards after she was dead.
Yeah.
Which is very, very suspicious, obviously.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I want to do right now, Dusty, is I want to, and I'll post these because I got them right here, so we're not like both clicking on it at the same time. But I want to show some pictures that were released of Joseph Ryan's apartment, because, well, I won't say too much, but I want you guys, all of our subscribers, all 500 of you guys that are in here, I want you to look at these pictures and look at them closely, because I want you to notice some of the things that are in them. That's all I'm going to say. Just look at them closely. Here we go. So this is picture number 1. Right here. Okay. This is the day that they found Joseph Ryan. April 3rd, 2018. All right. Next one. Next one. There's his wallet. I see his wallet sitting on the counter. Dusty, look at that one. What jumps out at you in that one?
Eye drops.
The eye drops. I loved your discussion on the eye drops last night. I'm telling you guys, if you missed the 321 report, please go watch it. That thing was fantastic. Dusty, you're just getting better and better all the time, brother.
Oh, thanks.
And there's those eye drops in the medicine cabinet. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but I just thought it was a coincidence. There they are. Okay, here's the nightstand. Here's the closet.
What the heck's that stuff?
It's grocery bags. He liked to recycle them. A lot of people do that. They take them back.
Yeah, I just thought I couldn't tell what that was. I
No.
thought there was a body parts in there or something. I was like, what the heck is that?
Well, when I first saw him, I thought, oh man, does he kind of have like these hoarder tendencies? But no, a lot of people do that to recycle them. They have a spot at the grocery store,
Mhm.
and I actually need to do better at that myself. But I'm sure a lot of our subscribers do that. But there's his little office area, and the bedroom looks like he
Looks
hadn't
like he
quite.
hadn't lived there very long.
Yeah, he hadn't quite unpacked all the way, huh?
Mhm.
And then they also found his passport. There's his passport.
He
Joseph
doesn't look like an unhealthy. I mean, I know that you can't judge heart disease by the way somebody looks, but I mean, he looks like a healthy guy. So
Yeah, and it's hard to know because people die all the time. They just drop dead. They're healthy. They exercise and everything like that. So we're not saying that's not a possibility. But guys, again, look at this picture. I mean, he was a very active guy. He rode a bicycle. From what I understand, he rode a bicycle almost everywhere he went. If you look at this one, there's an exercise ball, and he's got the little yoga or the yoga mat and stuff there. It looks like rolled up maybe.
and he's got that roller that you used for sore muscles, like when you work out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and from everything that I've been able to find about Joseph Ryan he was very active. He was very healthy. He lived a very active lifestyle. Now this one right here, again, this doesn't mean much, but it's worth noting, right? What is he cooking right there? He's cooking spaghetti. So he's not eating fast food. You don't see McDonald's bags laying all over the place. You don't see energy drinks. You see bottles of water. In all indications, man, this guy was healthy, Dusty.
yeah, looks like it. I mean, I wish I lived that healthy. I used to, but I wish I still had those habits. I need to get back into it. But I mean, he didn't seem like the guy that just would drop dead of a heart attack. I mean,
Right.
I know that happens to some people and they look like they're healthy, but it's like we said, it's really high odds against it that they would actually, that many people would pass away natural causes under the age of 60, 3 of them. And actually 2 of them, one barely over 50 and the other one under 50. So
Yeah.
and then Stacy Cox was 31 years old. So
She was 31 years old. She was very young. And I don't think it's any coincidence that, like you were saying on your report last night, Alex was after Joseph Ryan. He was talking to the other inmates saying, hey, send pictures. I know some guys in here that might want to take care of him after, we all get out, etc. Alex had a vendetta against Joseph Ryan.
yeah, he was like obsessed with getting back at him for some reason. I mean, maybe Lori was telling him all these stories too about what was going on. And so he was trying to, take revenge or something.
I want to answer this right here. I love you guys. All of you absolutely wonderful creators. Thank you for sharing that. It's good to have all you guys here tonight. We really appreciate everybody being here. Like we said in the beginning, you guys are great. I'm not looking at the comments as much tonight. We're not ignoring you, but we really like to get into this content and focus on it and present it in the best way possible. So, but just know that we love you guys. You guys are great.
So M's Mad World, I think she's the one that posted that video when you cut your hair. She was all upset.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was her.
Yeah, that was her. Yeah. But look at the hair, man. It's coming back. It's a different
one, like alfalfa sticking up, man.
I know, dude. I even tried to put hair gel on that, but guess what? It's coming back a different color, but it's coming back. Thank you, Aubrey Jensen, for the donation. He took meds to control his heart problem, so that's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. So again, man, is there a chance that he died of natural causes? Absolutely.
Yeah, there is.
But under these circumstances, this has got to be put under the microscope, brother.
Especially when you're getting attacked, and your wife is Lori, and she's threatening, I don't know if there was a video or just audio. I just heard the audio of her saying that. It doesn't matter because we know it was her talking about how she would kill him, and the scriptures give her permission or something. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's getting these. She needs to buy a study guide for the scriptures because she really doesn't know how to comprehend them. So.
Yeah, they were way out in left field on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to move into now, Dusty, is this kind of set the table for we want to get into how Zulema plays into all of this and the very suspicious timeline leading up to Alex Cox's death. Do you want to take us through that, Dusty? I know backstage we were kind of talking about the stuff that was suspicious surrounding. Do you have that right there? Do you want to go through all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been looking at it. So really, I'm going to back up only to about November, like the last part of November. And I'll start on the 24th of November, and this is 2019. It says, I'm taking a lot of this from the blog of Annie Cushing. She has a really good timeline, and she's Joseph Ryan's sister. So she knows she's really done her due diligence on this case for obvious reasons because Tylee was her niece, and she's really invested in this case. She's got sources in her timeline. I posted a link to it a few videos back, but anyway, we can do that again on this because this is really good stuff. And I've just from tonight when we were talking backstage, I learned some stuff that I didn't know just by going through this again because I've already read this before and I'd missed some things. So starting on the 24th of November, Lori and an unidentified man, it was either Chad or Alex, we know that, visited her storage shed in Rexburg, Idaho for the last time. And this is what they leave there this time: a box of memorabilia for Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, as well as a tote of clothing. And they stayed there for 4 minutes. So they're dropping off all of Tylee and JJ's sentimental stuff. I heard that there was baby blankets and stuff in there. So, out of sight, out of mind, I guess, for mom there. And then on the 25th of November, Kay Woodcock discovers by hacking into Charles Vallow's email. So Charles Vallow's been dead since July now. And so she's hacked into his email because he only used like 3 passwords, she said. And there's an Amazon purchase, the one I talked about on the 321 report, where Lori bought that ring, that malachite ring, for her wedding before Tammy Daybell was even dead. And so she gets the address for Lori because she hasn't been able to get a hold of her for a long time. She didn't know where she was. So what she does is she contacts Rexburg police. They contact Gilbert PD, and they get coordinated, and they go do a welfare check, checking for JJ. So, well, actually, they got it set up on the 25th. On the 26th is when they actually went to Lori's apartment. So what happened on this at this visit? It's really interesting. So Chad was around there. Chad and Lori got married about 3 weeks before this, and Chad was acting like he didn't know Lori. He was telling the cops he barely knew her, and that he didn't know her phone number. And then Alex they didn't get their story straight apparently before this happened. I guess Kay caught them off guard because they thought they were good up there hiding out in Rexburg, Idaho.
Dusty, let me interrupt you for 1 second, because now what you're telling me is that all of the characters involved here were all in Idaho at this time, correct?
Yep.
On the 26th.
Yep.
Okay.
Chad for sure.
Okay.
Alex was, Lori was, Melanie Pulowski, and I'm pretty sure Ian Pulowski was around there too, since they just got married. So, actually, they're getting ready to get married.
So this is the 26th of November. Okay.
Yeah, your birthday.
Yeah, it's my birthday. So Thanksgiving is coming up on when that year? The 28th?
Yep, 2 days from now.
Okay, so Thanksgiving's coming up, and all these characters are in Idaho. and all this stuff's going down, and law enforcement starts sniffing around because Kay Woodcock was getting suspicious. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. All right, go ahead.
Just keep in mind too, this is important. Zulema is not in any of these reports, right? So she wasn't up there as far as we know, right?
Right.
Okay, because that's important and something I'll say in a little while. So Alex tells the detectives that JJ's with his grandma, Kay Woodcock. So they already know that's bull because that she's the one that asked for this.
She's the one that was reporting it. Yeah.
So they know he's lying automatically. So Alex also told the cops that Lori might be in apartment 107, and apartment 107 was vacant. There was nobody in that. He knew that. And so police found her later that day in apartment 175. That was her apartment. So Chad Daybell tried to drive away while the detectives were at the apartment complex, and they stopped him. And this is what I'm going to say next is one of the reasons I think that if it came down to it, Chad would be the one to flip on Lori before Lori would flip on him because of this. It says Chad told an investigator that the last time he had seen JJ was in apartment 107 in October. He also admitted he knew his wife's phone number. So he's like those guys on Cops where they shouldn't say nothing, but they tell on themselves all the time.
Yeah.
If you just shut up, you're probably not going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And
okay. But Dusty,
ahead.
let me just say this real quick. That's starting to show right there that Chad is already starting to panic.
Yes.
He's starting to get nervous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that because that's going to be important too as we go on here.
Yeah, the heat's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So also this is what Annie wrote. This proves that Chad was aware that Lori had at least one minor child because Chad was running around telling his parents and a few other people that Lori didn't have any young children.
Yep.
So
premeditated.
Right. So they finally get a hold of Lori. I'm not sure if it was in person or on the phone. And she told detectives that JJ was with Melanie Gibb. And we know who she is. She's their friend that used to do podcasts with them. Mm-hmm. She was her and David Warwick were probably two of the last people to ever see JJ when Alex was carrying him into the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so detectives called Gibb, but they're unable to reach her. Lori claimed that her friend and JJ were at Frozen 2. Officers told Lori to tell her friend to call them. And it says, after not hearing back from Gibb that night, law enforcement in Rexburg called the Gilbert Police Department. Officers from Gilbert PD went to Gibb's home. She was not there, but they reached her by phone. Gibb told them JJ had not been there for several months. So, and this is a good point that Annie Cushing says right here. She puts a little note and it says, not getting back to law enforcement in a timely manner gave Lori and Chad significant lead time to flee the jurisdiction. Absolutely. So I know that, she was probably just freaking out. She didn't know what was going on, but she shouldn't have waited. You know what I mean? She should have. She waited 10 days to tell the Rexburg PD that Lori and Chad both asked her to lie. So that's messed up.
Yeah, that's enabling. There's actually a video out there of the ways that Gibb was enabling Lori. So it's pretty interesting. It's popping up on our feed, man. You'll have to check that one out.
All right. So next day, the 27th, law enforcement executes a search warrant for the townhouse Lori Vallow was renting and discovers that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell vacated the home. She's good at that. When Charles was talking to the cops, she had took off. She's just like, she packs everything up quick and just beats it. So it says witnesses say the kids weren't with them. Law enforcement also searches the townhouses belonging to Vallow's brother Alex and niece Melanie Boudreaux, who reportedly lived within a few doors of Vallow. So the heat's getting on them again. Search warrants, all this stuff. So the pressure just keeps building and building. This is important because this was only like 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks before Alex dies. So the same day, they also searched Lori's storage shed and they find the kids' bikes, toys, photo albums, winter clothes, backpack. It's got JJ's initials on it. There's a jersey with Colby Ryan's name on it, photo blankets made from pictures of Tylee and JJ from when they were babies. Yeah. So her and either Chad or Alex, or just one of them at a time, they went to that storage shed 10 times between October 1st and November 24th.
Wow.
Okay, so we're still on the 27th, right?
Yeah, we're still on the 27th.
Approximate date that Alex Cox moves back to Arizona. And where did he move to?
Yeah, we already know.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is where I want to talk about this for a second, Dusty. This is when Alex Cox shows up with Melanie Pulowski, November 27th, at Zulema's house. Okay. And according to what was released by the Gilbert Police Department a couple of weeks ago that I was talking about last week, their report when they closed the case on Alex Cox's death, they said that Zulema told them that Alex wasn't going to go back to Idaho, that he was going to give up his apartment and he was going to move in with Zulema. So Alex, he hightailed it out of there. He had no intentions of going back. So the heat is really starting to build, and the pressure starting to build at this point. So there's Zulema saying, yes, Alex, it's okay if you move in with me. Come stay with me. Give up your apartment. And this is her saying this. It's quoted right here. Mm-hmm. And so Melanie, I don't know what her plan was at this time, but she stayed the weekend at Zulema's house and spent Thanksgiving with them and hung out with them. And I you know, I'm not sure on the timeline from there, but I wanted to throw that in there that Alex had no intentions of going back to Idaho. So he was getting nervous. So anyway, go ahead.
So the 27th, detectives come to the house of Lori Vallow's son, Colby Ryan, to inquire about the whereabouts of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. Colby told Fox reporter Justin Lum that he called his mom after they left and said, "2 detectives just came to my door. What is going on?" She allegedly answered, "I got it. I'll take care of it. Love you." Colby added when pressed by Lum that she also asked what the detectives asked him, but that was it.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the part I didn't know about right here. And I don't know why I didn't know this, but it kind of got me wondering where the heck Lori was. So it says Chad Daybell. This is the 28th of November to the 1st of December. It says Chad Daybell spends Thanksgiving weekend on vacation with his family in Southern California, traveling there via the Salt Lake City airport. Photos posted to social media show Chad at the airport and later Knott's Berry Farm. Lori wasn't, that's an amusement park. Lori wasn't in any of the photos, and her location during this time is unknown. So that's weird. Like, cause I think they would already moved to Hawaii and got married. Well, I know they got married already.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, what I'm predicting in that situation is that there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of pressure. I mean, law enforcement's starting to crack down on them. You know, you got to remember that JJ and Tylee, you know, we know where they're at this point. You know, we know all the stuff that now, but in that moment, they're the only ones that knew that. And law enforcement's trying to figure it out. So the pressure's starting to get real high. And so what I'm predicting is that Chad's like, I can't do this, man. Like, I'm going to take my family and we're going to go on a vacation. Maybe not. I don't know where Lori was, but I think Chad was kind of having some second thoughts. He was getting nervous. That's my own opinion, you know. And then Lori, I don't know where she was at or what she was doing. She wasn't at her place in Idaho. We know that. Yeah,
she wasn't. There was some story floating around for a while that she made cookies for Chad's kids or something. They're adult kids, you know, adult children. So I don't know where that came from or where, but
you know, that makes sense, Dusty, because when I was at Chad Daybell's house and I talked to his daughter, Emma, I asked her if she had ever met Lori. And she said yes, and I think that was on the occasion when she brought those cookies. I think that's what, if I recall right.
Wouldn't get within 10 miles of anything she cooked or put together. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Well,
Jeez.
yeah, Emma was saying that she met her that one time. Emma lived right directly across the street, and she didn't know Lori very well, but she said she had met her a couple of times. So maybe that was the time that you're talking about there.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dusty, so we know what's going on with Chad. We're not sure about Lori. What was going on with Alex and Zulema and all them in Arizona?
Okay. This is the weird part to me. And I'll tell you why. So it says here on the 29th, Alex Cox marries Zulema Pastenes in Las Vegas.
On what date? I'm sorry.
The 29th.
The 29th.
So,
okay.
So the 27th, they're in Rexburg, right? Getting searched.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The 28th, they're in Arizona. The 29th, they're in Vegas getting married. I mean, that's a lot of traveling. But where's the courtship? Where's the dating? You know what I mean? There's no proof they even knew each other before Thanksgiving.
They didn't.
You know, like there wasn't. She wasn't up there. Like we know that. Yep. And he was up there, and she was down in Arizona. So how did this even happen? That's what I'm wondering. This is weird, man.
It's weird, and you got to wonder about Ian Pulowski. You know, I started putting out from day one, in Pulowski, you need to run, man. You need to run away. But
I think he figured that out. Then he was just kind of already in over his head.
Yeah, I got you. Well, anyway, so what I think happened is Alex and Zulema planned this trip to Las Vegas on a whim, and Melanie's like, well, I'm dating this guy that I met at the singles ward in Idaho. I'm going to see if he wants to go with us. And, you know, and so they got a hold of Ian, and he met him up there. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's
Don't
how
you think it's weird that somebody would plan a trip during Thanksgiving? I mean, the 28th was Thanksgiving, and the 29th is when they got married.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got kids. She's got grandkids. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a strange time to be planning a trip to get away just to party with somebody or whatever, or some guy you barely know.
Yes, Dusty. And now we're starting to get into the nitty gritty with Zulema. Go ahead, though.
I just want to mention what the minister said about the service when they got married. He said that the thing that stuck out to him the most was their lack of emotional response. He continued, they were very cold. It was business. They wanted to get in and get out. The owner said their service only lasted 8 minutes, and their only witness was the chapel security guard. And it says that another thing he thought was weird was he took her last name. So,
yeah, we're going to talk about the reason why he took her last name. I have a theory on that, but you know, people message me. We always get haters and people that, well, you know, though you guys are posting these pictures of Alex and Zulema, and they look so happy. They look like they're in love. You got, you know, Alex is biting her cheek and he's kissing her and they're hugging and they're laughing. That's not what this guy's saying, right? That's not what the pastor or the minister is saying. Very businesslike.
No, he wasn't. And he sees a lot of weddings. And if that one stood out, it's unusual.
Absolutely.
People get married there all the time. I mean, they wouldn't be in business if they didn't.
Absolutely.
All right. Yep. So the next day, on the 30th, Melanie Boudreau marries Ian Pulowski in Las Vegas.
Okay, now wait a minute. The reason why it was the next day is because Ian needed a day to get there. He had a long drive ahead of him. Mm-hmm. So my theory is holding up. It's holding water that this was all on a whim. It was Melanie had dated him. They probably met it, you know, on a single site, LDS Planet or Mutual or something like that, or somewhere up there at church. She didn't even know. They didn't even hardly know each other, but she said, you know, we're going to Vegas. Why don't you meet us over there? So that's why I think it was the next day. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and Alex Cox was their Alex Pastenes was their witness.
Alex Pastenes, yeah.
So, all right, we're on to early December, and this is really interesting because early December, dude, Melanie and Ian got married on the 30th of November. This is early December, and Ian Pulowski is texting his ex-wife with concerns about the attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. So he's probably like, she's trying to kill her ex-husband. What?
Yeah.
He said that she didn't know beforehand that what was going to happen. They made the attempt, failed, and told her about it after the fact. I got the transcript right here, what he said. He said they made the attempt, failed, and told her about it after the fact. I understand that he doesn't want the kids around her because he's talking about Brandon because of all this, but I believe if she can see them, it will put a huge dent in her trust with her uncles. That's interesting that he says uncles.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, and I thought, well, that guy Adam, he's nowhere around. Lori's brother, it's not him. So he must have been considering Chad. her uncle.
Absolutely.
Married to her aunt.
Yeah, that's exactly, it was Chad.
Yeah. So he's in on it. That tells us
he's in on it.
This, like this. He's not just, Alex is crazy. What they're going to do in the court, he can't do that because we've got enough evidence to say otherwise. But so he was freaking out, man. Ian was. Yeah. And you got to be freaking out if you're, all this was in the court transcripts for their family court, Plus he was wearing a wire.
Yeah.
What is Melanie thinking, man? Oh man, I just married a snitch.
Yeah. I'm really surprised they stayed together. At one point in time, I heard that the only reason why was because Melanie was pregnant. Was there any truth to that? Did Melanie end up being pregnant? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little more, but I think that's the only reason why Ian Pulowski stuck around. But, once he wore the wire and he started kind of working with the feds, then something got kind of iffy between him and law enforcement. Like he started to get kind of put off by them and then so he started to get skittish.
Yeah.
And then that's when they lawyered up, and then they gave that stupid interview in that living room where, Melanie's in there laughing and joking and thinking this is all a joke. And
from what I read, Ian's convinced that Melanie was deceived and she wasn't part of it. She was just tricked by these people. And I don't believe that.
No.
There's too much that's happened
now
that she's been a part of. And I don't believe she didn't know about them going to do that either.
Yeah. That's what, I'm going to be looking into this hot and heavy in the future. I'm going to be looking at Melanie Pulowski's involvement in all this. As we get more of these police reports that are being released, we're getting more pieces to the puzzle. I already suspected her like everybody else, not like I'm some genius or anything, but I suspected her a long time ago when I went and knocked on her door in Idaho. I went to those apartments where they were all living and tried to find her.
Yeah.
She's been in hiding.
I know that.
She's been in hiding, brother.
Yeah. she should be because
she's got a lot that she's going to have to account for. And I want to talk to her at some point. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'm not going to stop looking.
So on the second, I'm going to get through there's not much left. We're almost there. So it says on the second, this is the 2nd of December, Ian Pulowski's mother calls him after talking to his ex-wife, Natalie. She told him that Melanie was in a cult, Chad is a cult leader, and her uncle had shot a man. He's like, what the heck? His mom's probably freaking out. And what did this guy marry into, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the panic button.
Let me see what's pertinent here. They're just talking about some podcasts, and then this guy Jason Mao. He's real. We haven't talked much about him, but he's a real peach of a guy too. It looks like so. Natalie Pulowski contacts an associate of Brandon Boudreaux. This is on the 4th, trying to find him. It's a pretty desperate cry for help, and reveals how scared she and Ian both were. So there's that's interesting because
that is interesting.
Right after that, his mom, or Natalie, his ex-wife, and Ian are interviewed by the Rexburg police on the 5th.
Okay.
It says, notable, one of the items Lori Vallow's defense attorney requested from Rexburg Police Department was recordings from Ian Pulowski. I wonder what he recorded. It's worth noting Idaho is a one-party consent state, meaning he wouldn't have needed to get permission from someone he was recording. That's interesting.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
Lori Vallow's asking for those recordings and she must know something, like something got recorded that they want to be able to prepare for in court, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow. That's interesting.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So it says on the 6th, so Ian's getting like, he's talking to he's on the 6th, it says Ian Pulowski meets with law enforcement again alone and restates what he knows for a few other detectives, Lieutenant Ball and another FBI agent named Travis. So, and then on the 6th, also Chandler PD in Arizona served a search warrant for all JJ's records at Life Academy, where he attended before Lori Vallow moved him to Rexburg. That was where Charles was going to take him to school that morning that Charles was shot. That's why Charles was at the house to pick up JJ and take him to school.
Yeah.
So 12/8/19. This is an important day.
12/8/19. Okay.
Yes. This is when Melanie Gibb records a call with Chad and Lori Vallow and asks for permission or information about JJ's whereabouts. And that's really an interesting phone call because do you remember what we were talking about recently about that, Tyson?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay. Because it started to put more pressure on Lori and Chad.
Absolutely. And there's one specific point in there that she says, that Melanie says, how come Alex told me I don't want to know where JJ is and that they'll never find him? And so there's silence right after she says that. And you can imagine what Lori and Chad are thinking.
She's saying, oh, beep.
Yeah. And they're thinking, Alex has got to go.
Alex has got to go.
And that was 4 days before Alex did go, before he was gone.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? Like, that was really fast, man.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that had a lot to do with why he was dead shortly thereafter.
All right. Dusty, now, are you there?
I'm getting there.
Okay. No, you're good. I'm enjoying this. I'm sure everybody is.
So 12/11, we know that Tammy Daybell's remains were exhumed by Fremont County Sheriff's Office, and with the assistance of Utah.
That's the same day that Alex drove to Mexico, by the way.
Yeah.
The same day.
Yeah. And it says an autopsy is conducted. The warrant states there's probable cause to believe that the hereinafter described property or persons presently located within the hereinafter described location is connected with the commission of public offenses, to wit, conspiracy to commit homicide first degree, which occurred on about July 11th, 2019. That's interesting.
Wow.
What? Man, that's when Charles died. So
did you said that was the 11th?
July 11th, 2019. That's weird, man.
We'll have to look further into that.
Yeah. So they're tying Charles's death in with Tammy. So they're saying in this probable cause affidavit that whoever killed Tammy had something to do with Charles's death is pretty much what that's saying.
Yeah.
If I'm reading that right. I mean, I couldn't
together.
And it also says on the 11th that Melanie Pulowski has a family court hearing scheduled. Ian Pulowski had told his ex-wife, Natalie, he was trying to get her to go. He said she got an answer last night from God himself, and she didn't show up as far as I know. So,
wow.
So we're on the 12th, Tyson. You could take this away if you want to.
Well, okay. So what I want to do now with all that background is I want to have a discussion about Zulema and what she knew the whole time. because, she's kind of like skirted around, like on the boundary line, like out of bounds. She's kind of like just there bouncing around. Nobody really, until now, with the report coming out last week on Alex Cox's death, we have more information, but nobody really knew that much about this woman, other than that she was a kind of a dark mystic, healer of some sort. But as we get more information here, Dusty, I want to focus in on what she knew the whole time, because we know from just going through all of that the pressure was really starting to build with Chad and Lori and Alex. And what is Zulema's role in all of this? So what I'm starting to hypothesize is that Chad and Lori at some point got a hold of Zulema and filled her in on the details of, look, we've got law enforcement breathing down our neck. We're worried, Alex knows a lot. Melanie Gibb just made this phone call to Lori and said, why don't I want to know what happened to JJ? They're panicking big time. And if you start putting all these pieces together, it looks more and more like Zulema had her role in this, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It definitely doesn't look like they were madly in love or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
I can't even find where they knew each other.
Right.
Besides through Lori.
Yeah. And why? And like I was saying last week, why was Zulema so adamant about marrying Alex? I mean, what was it about him? Did she know anything about him? Did she know that he assaulted Joseph Ryan in Austin, Texas back in 2007 and served 90 days in jail? Did she know that he was just recently involved in the shooting and death of Charles Vallow? Did she know all this other stuff about him, like, him using the credit cards with his sister dying? I mean, there was so much that, to this guy, and you just got to wonder, did Zulema know anything about him? Probably not. But yet she was so adamant about marrying him that she had to run to Vegas and elope. She asked her daughters to move out because they didn't want to be there with this creep.
She didn't ask them to move out. They said they weren't living there. So
yeah.
It's like almost like they knew what he was all about.
Yeah.
And she didn't care.
Well, Joseph Lopez was living there too. As we all know, he's living upstairs. And so the way I see it going down is Alex and Zulema and Melanie said, hey, let's go to Vegas. Well, they got married while they were over there, and the girls and Joseph and all of them didn't even know about it. And that brings me to my next point. Why did Alex take Zulema's last name? Let me tell you what I think. Because Zulema knew that Alex wasn't going to be in the picture for very long, in my opinion. She knew he wasn't going to be in the picture very long. And it's hard for a woman, when they get married, it's hard. They have to go change their driver's license. They have to change their social security card. They have to go to the bank. They have to change all their stuff online. It's a real hassle to change your last name.
Yeah, she definitely knew that after being married 6 freaking times. So.
Yeah, she knew it, and she didn't want to do it again. So what does that tell you? She knew that Alex wasn't going to be around very long. So as they're sitting in their hotel room in Las Vegas, this is the way that I see it going down. Hey, baby, why don't you change your last name to mine instead of the other way around? And Alex, okay, that sounds like a great idea, honey. And so it's indicative of Zulema having this prior knowledge of Alex not being around for very long. And also Chad and Lori are communicating. We don't have phone records, but they're communicating with Zulema. And I find it very interesting that the day that Alex died, as he's laying on the floor, who gave him a blessing over the phone? Chad Daybell. And that's who I'm assuming it was. And you were saying that some of the police officers even admitted that it was Chad Daybell.
Yeah, I've read
Okay,
that.
now what I thought, Dusty, is, growing up in the Mormon church, when you're not feeling well and you need a blessing of healing, you usually pick up the phone and call somebody if somebody's not in your household, right? You'd pick up the phone and call Brother Johnson and say, hey, you're my home teacher. Can you come over and give me a blessing? Or you call somebody from the elders quorum or the bishopric, right? You don't get one over the phone. Now, I thought maybe Alex he's feeling sick and he's saying, I need a blessing. So he picked up the phone and he called Chad Daybell. That's not what happened. I think that Chad called him to check on him to see at what state he was in with whatever was being administered to him, whether it be poison or whatever, the manner in which he was dying. He was calling to check on him and to see where he was at and all that. And it also gave him an alibi when the police checked the phone records. Hey, why are you calling Alex while he's laying on the floor dead? Well, I was giving him a blessing. He was sick, so I was giving him a blessing, which was a bunch of BS. He was calling to check on him to see if he was dead yet.
Yeah, well, they definitely aren't following the proper teachings and the proper ways you do things in the LDS church, because I mean, they've got a warped sense of everything, so they might have thought it was okay to do that, but I'm leaning towards what you're saying. I think it was all, he was trying to get his finger on the pulse of what was going on, because he's in Hawaii,
Yeah, he's trying to get his finger on the pulse of what's going on. And where's Zulema? Zulema's saying that she's over on Higley and Baseline, and that she's calling Alex at that very moment to ask him how he's doing, or to fix a little gift basket or something like that, which is, in my opinion, total hogwash. I believe, Dusty, that Zulema was waiting right outside of her house, or maybe right down the street, and that she used Joseph Lopez as a pawn to call 911. Why didn't she call? She could have called. She had a phone. She could have just.
She told him to call the cops. She didn't tell him to call the ambulance. That was what was weird to me. Like, why would she say call the cops? Yeah, well, why didn't she call too? I mean, and then people were getting on here and they were kind of bashing me, saying, well, she had a client and she had to go drop her client off. Now you're telling me if your husband's laying on the floor dying that you're going to be worried about dropping your client off? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what does she do? What's a client for her? I mean, she does like she's like a life coach or something. I don't know, Dusty. Oh my gosh. She's more like a death coach. A life coach. Yeah. She's telling her stepson to kill himself. That's a heck of a life coach there. Golly. Well, Dusty, what I did, as you know, is I went back over to Zulema's neighborhood, and I shot some video, and we did a reenactment of the ambulance going over to Zulema. So I want you to, everything that we've talked about has led us up to this point, and I want to roll that video of what it would have looked like for the ambulance driving into Zulema's neighborhood. Now, she doesn't live in a spot where the ambulance can just roll right up to her house. They have to wind through the neighborhood, and it's going to take them a little while to get there. It's going to give her plenty of time to stand outside her house, 1 block away, hear the ambulance coming, and rush in there and be the hero. Let's roll that footage. Or at least have a little bit of an alibi, like, all right, you want the first one? Are you ready? Are you ready for it, Dusty? Yeah, I believe so. I think these guys are going to really enjoy this. Check this out. We even added the siren to it. Yeah. Dusty, you're awesome, bro. You're awesome, man.
Hey, you didn't know I was an ambulance driver, did you?
That was funny, man.
So anyway, the point of that is Zulema had plenty of time to hear that ambulance coming. And I don't ever believe that she was over on Higley and Baseline, as she's told the police. I believe that she was waiting somewhere in that neighborhood for that ambulance to arrive. And notice the timing, Dusty. I said it, and I love this word, and I'll say it again. It was impeccable.
Yeah.
Her timing was impeccable, man. She showed up like maybe, 2 minutes before the paramedics got there?
I mean, not even that. Maybe 30 seconds. I mean, she might have showed up, but when she got in that room with Joseph, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't very long at all when the paramedics were there.
I'll tell you what, bro. It just, again, I do believe that she was in cahoots with Chad and Lori when out about Alex's demise. And that's just one of the things that she knew. Because again, is that a coincidence, bro? It's astronomical for her to show up at that very moment. And not only that, why did she ask Joseph to go in there and do that? I truly felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I still believe he's got to be at least on the spectrum of being autistic, because just the way he was. I mean, he was just pretty much just all business. He's scared. He didn't want to do it. Is he breathing? I hope so. It's like, he wasn't even going to go over and see because he was scared.
Yeah, you can hear it in his voice when he said, "I hope so." Man, your heart just went out to him. You're like, man, this poor guy, he doesn't want to be in this situation. Zulema, she knew this better than anybody. She's his mother.
Yeah.
And she
used him for sure.
She used him as a pawn. She could have easily picked up the phone like most normal people would have done and said, "Hey, my husband's laying on the floor. I'm on my way over there right now. Can you please send the paramedics?" Or if she didn't know he was on the floor because Joseph hadn't, she could have said, "Hey, my husband's very sick. I just tried to call him. He's not responding. I'm on my way." Yeah. But she had Joseph do all that. Call 911. Call the cops. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, man. Like, you're right. You're pointing out some good stuff. I did a little search I've seen that video before, so I did a quick search on what Zulema does, and it's pretty ironic. It's got a few things. It says life coach, which is already ironic, but wellness and relationship coach.
Yeah.
Wow. So your relationship that was like 2 days old died. So you're not very good at your job. Also, she's
six divorces.
Yeah. Also, yeah. She can tell you how not to do it. She's also an emotion code practitioner. So I'm gonna
What the heck is that?
From what I saw on here, it says a lot of the prepper types like to do that. I don't know what it is, so we'll have to look into that. But
hey, Dusty, yeah, we'll look into that. Did we ever get that other video loaded up about where I was over by Banner Hospital?
I
don't know if I got. We can show it another time if not, but because I that was one of the things that I was going to check on earlier and I forgot. But
I forgot too,
anyway, I was over by Banner Hospital where Alex died, and one of the things that I was pointing out was Zulema's behavior there at the hospital while Alex was laying dead on the hospital bed or on the gurney or wherever he was. And the detective's there. He's asking Zulema questions, and he takes a phone call and steps out into the hall. And while he's out there, this guy, Jose Ochoa, her son-in-law, shows up and says, no more. You're not talking to Zulema anymore without a lawyer. And so Zulema gets an attitude, and she did the same thing with the detective when they were sitting in front of her house in his vehicle, in his unmarked police car. She took off with an attitude saying, "I'm not talking to you anymore." That behavior is suspicious when your husband, instead of being in mourning and being sad, you got this like really sassy attitude, like, "I'm not talking to you anymore. You can talk to my lawyer." That raises red flags.
Yeah, that plus asking if she was a suspect as soon as the cop got there.
Right out of the gate. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's weird for sure.
Well, Dusty, we brought up some really good points, man. What I say we do, we've got about 665 people in here. And I thought it was weird because when that ambulance ride, that reenactment was going, it was at 666 heading to Zulema's house. I was like, oh my gosh, that's weird.
How appropriate is that?
That is weird. All right, dude. Anyway, let's open it up to some questions and then let's wrap this thing up. What do you say we take a few questions here? Does that sound good?
Yeah. Sounds good to me. You gonna look for some?
I'm looking right now. Yes, Robin Lane, I agree. It's creepy. And it looks like our good friend Gonzo is in the house. Thank you for being here, Gonzo.
Lisa Hogan. She's our good friend too. I
Lisa
get emails
Hogan?
from Lisa a lot. I'm sorry if I don't respond as much as I want to. But
Yeah, Lisa, sorry, man. I didn't mean to overlook you there. Thank you for being a member of our channel too. We sure appreciate you guys. What does this say right here? Is this a question? Y'all did such a fantastic job tonight. Thank you, Julie. We're trying to put more research and effort into these lives, and we know they're getting better. But we're still not where we want to be. But you know, progress is progress. One of these days, I'm going to have my own little studio. Dusty even gave me a really good idea about creating a mobile studio, and so we're tossing that around, and that should be in the near future, and it's going to help us to be more organized and present this information to you guys in a very logical and wonderful way, hopefully.
hey, can I give I want to give our viewers an assignment.
Yeah.
Because I posted on the if you go look at the thumbnail, we showed a picture of Alex Cox's truck, and that's a bunch of photos that the Yellowstone National Park put out when they were looking for Tylee and JJ. So, anyway, he has a vanity plate on it that says CP Quint. And I've been trying to figure out what CP Quint means. And I'm going to give y'all an assignment. If you could figure out what that means for me, I would be happy to send you like one of our pieces of merchandise or something like that for you doing that for me. Because I want to know what that is. Because that's not a normal thing to put. I mean, unless you're a quintuplet or something, I don't know what this means. So I want to know.
Yeah, that's a good homework assignment, bro. Yeah. Thank you. Miss Mister. Oh man. She was emailing me today too, Miss Mister. She's awesome.
You can't sing anything that's going to get us tagged because
I know.
I'm Chappie. It took a month for us to get that cleared.
Well, Dusty, you don't have to worry because I hate to burst her bubble, but I can't carry a tune in a bucket, guys. The truth be known. I mean, I could sing the Dukes of Hazzard song, just kind of wing it and fake it, but I cannot sing, man. I tell you what we'll do. We'll make you a deal, Miss Mister, and this is going to make a lot of our subscribers happy. We'll bring Chappie on one of these times if he wants to. I'll talk to him, and we'll see if we can find a song that will not get us a YouTube strike for a copyright, then I will see if Chappie would come on and sing us something. Does that sound like a deal, Miss Mister? Thank you for the donation. Dusty, I had a question up here from Betty Smith, and I jumped over to that real quick, but Betty Smith was asking if Alex Cox had a life insurance policy, and if he does, how much was it? Do you know the answer to that?
No, I don't know the answer, but I do know that there's some kind of court proceeding going on, some kind of legal stuff going on with Zulema trying to get something, and there's a lien on it from Wells Fargo. So it's in probate, whatever that means. So, yeah.
Okay, so I got a theory on that too. Even if Alex Cox didn't have a life insurance policy, who had a bunch of money at this time? Who in the group just got a huge life insurance settlement or payment?
Well, $430,000.
Yep. And he wanted a favor, didn't he? He wanted a favor of Zulema. He wanted Alex Cox removed from the equation because he was starting to talk too much, or he was starting to make Chad and Lori a little worried. So I think that Chad was offering Zulema a substantial amount of money. That's my theory. That's my guys. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I am not saying that this is what happened. This is my theory, my opinion, and that's it.
All right. So it looks like Audrey Jensen, Captain Quinn. See, I was really young when that came out.
Is that what that is?
Man, I'm gonna have to look into that. Is it because that truck was gray and it looked like a big shark or something?
Maybe.
That would be so dumb. But
well, you know what? We need to send Aubrey Jensen a piece of merchandise.
Yeah, Audrey, will you email us at the Draper Brothers at gmail.com and just tell me like what you want.
Okay, and coming in a close second was Brenda Redmond. It means Captain Quinn from Jaws. So yeah, there you go, Dusty. Thank you, Brenda.
He killed sharks for a living. They should have put something. Yeah, never mind. I don't want to say that.
Well, Miss Mister, she gave up on me singing a song, so let's see what she's saying now. I will send Tyson 50 if he cuts his hair.
Hey, I'll cut my hair for 50. I cut my hair all the time.
No, I was kidding about growing my hair back. It's going gray. Look at this. I'm not embarrassed. And I mean, seriously, guys, there comes a point in time in your life where you got to give it up, man. You know, you see these 60-year-old guys that are, you know, still trying to be young in certain ways. And okay, I'll take that $50. That sounds like a deal.
So Deb Lyons, this is a good question. Do you think Alex offed himself thinking he was hit? I'm not sure what hit means. But yeah, I think that's a possibility. Tyson and I have talked about that. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
There's also a theory that I had that I said, you know, he went to Mexico the day before.
Yeah.
That's so I was thinking maybe he was on the run and he decided, well, I'm not going to run. I'll just come back and just do it, you know, in America.
That is definitely a possibility. Absolutely.
Yeah. Who knows what goes on with those people? Because there's a lot of those offshoot polygamist places down there in Mexico. He might have wanted to go down there.
Oh, this is a good question, Dusty. I'm super glad that Jani brought this question up because I was looking for Cheyenne Hunter all week, and Jani was the one that was able to get a hold of her on Facebook. And Jani reached out to me a couple times and said that she had actually spoken to Cheyenne and that Cheyenne was going to get a hold of me, but she never did. And actually, I got a number from BZ Mama. Thank you, BZ Mama, for your research as well. Of Shannon Hunter, who was married to Zulema. And I tried calling it and texting it several times, and I never could get through to anybody. So at this point, Jani and the rest of you, I would say take that statement by Cheyenne Hunter with a grain of salt, because I haven't been able to verify it. And we all know that ex-stepkids can say a lot of horrible things. And I'm taking that into consideration. But under the circumstances, I would not doubt it one bit if that was true. So thank you, Justice Jani, for your donation and for reminding me to talk about that. That's all I have, Dusty. Should we call it a night?
Huh?
That's it.
Let me see. Let me see if anybody's on here with some questions. I was going to put a picture of that truck up, but it's already on the thumbnail if y'all want to go look at it. So,
all right. Well, we got a lot covered tonight, Dusty. We got a lot covered. And thank you guys so very much for your participation, for hanging in there. This was about an hour and a half. I would like to thank our moderators for doing a fantastic job. I'd like to thank all those of you who made a donation or made a super chat. I wasn't really watching the comments, but thank you guys so much for for donating and helping us out. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to do that now. Who am I forgetting, Dusty? I'm forgetting to thank anybody.
I don't know.
Love you guys, man. You guys rock. The Draper Brothers crew is the best on YouTube. You guys truly are.
I did hear this Triple D Shaughnessy. I did hear that. So that is a possibility. So who knows? I did hear that, though, that she was at her in-laws, but they weren't her in-laws at the time.
Oh, see, I thought I read somewhere that she was over there having it at Zulema's house, but
well, she was there during that weekend. I'm not sure if she had Thanksgiving dinner with them, but
yeah,
who knows? All right, guys.
Leah Vogel, hey, she's a regular. Thank you. Love you guys too. You guys all have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here next time.
See you guys. Hey, if you have any more questions, just email them to us.
Bye-bye.
Adios.